Hey guys, welcome back to the huddle. This time I am once again joined by former Cardinals offensive lineman, works for the organization and Telemundo and Fox. Rolando, I brought you in for one very specific reason, and that is because my Miami Dolphins are taking on your Arizona Cardinals and two future franchise quarterbacks in Tua Tagovailoa and the most fun player to watch in the NFL in Kyler Murray. And in Sunday Night Football, we have two historic QBs in Drew Brees and Tom Brady. So, Rolando, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Santiago. I think it's been a while, right? I think we touched base like week one or prior to the season.
Yeah.
And I'm coming off the bye week. So, yeah, man, we're ready for those Dolphins. I know you guys already passed on the quarterback position to Tua. Everybody's excited out there in Florida to see what he can bring to the table. Because let's be honest, last week I think the defense and special teams helped them out a little bit. But excited, man. This matchup, just like you mentioned, those two historic quarterbacks like Tom Brady and the Drew Brees are going to be on Sunday night. I think eventually Tua and Kyler Murray will have that chance in the NFL.
I do. I agree with you. And let's go deep. The first thing I want to ask you is I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw that Bill Belichick was 224 and 66 as a record with Tom Brady starting on the field. Bill Belichick was 51 and 66 without Tom Brady. So I want to ask you, is it really fair right now to compare Belichick and Brady?
Well, you know they work better together. That's just statistic-wise, right? I think, and they know this. I mean, at the end of the day, Santi, you have to have a coach that's willing to put in the time and is willing to design an excellent game plan. But when the lights go on the football field and, it starts first quarter, the players have to execute, man. The players have to make sure they know what they're doing. The players have to know exactly what the scheme is. And I think this year has been kind of tough on Bill Belichick, right? Because one, I mean, he got Cam Newton late in the season. This is not a normal season. Not that I'm saying that if it would have been a normal summer, the Patriots would have done better. Maybe they would have a little bit prepared more and had a better quarterback situation. But I think what they have to do is they have to play to the strengths of Cam Newton. We knew for a couple of weeks there, it was exciting to watch the Patriots, man, because they were doing the RPOs or running the ball effectively with Cam Newton. And on the other side, I mean, talking about Brady is rolling in Florida, man. I think he's doing a great job. It was a matter of time. One of the things, Santi, that you have to recognize is that he went from an excellent coach, which is undisputed. Sometimes we can talk about the greatest coach of all time in Bill Belichick, to an excellent coach who's also won Super Bowls in Bruce Arians. So, I mean, this guy has been surrounding himself, speaking of Tom Brady, with a lot of great coaches. So I think that eventually that pays off.
No, yeah, I do agree that you are there. I think, in my opinion, that it's not very fair to compare them right now, and I'm going to tell you why. Tom Brady has the best receiving core in football, and not to mention, and they brought in a good friend of Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, that's going to make his debut on Sunday Night Football against the Saints. And a lot of people don't talk about it, but Scotty Miller has been an important factor because he's having the Julian Edelman connection. They both have the same style in that slot receiver.
Of course.
So he has a great backfield, and Ronald Jones was having a great season. Leonard Fournette, who can start for many, many teams in the NFL.
Right.
He has a good offensive line and an elite defense that I had them as a very, very as a defense that a lot of people weren't talking about until last week. That yes, they still won, but they gave up way too many big plays, especially against the New York Giants. They have the best linebacker duo in Levante David and Devin White. I think that those two are elite. And they have a cornerback that is tied for leading the league in interceptions, in Carlton Davis. So I think that really helps out Tom Brady. And Bruce Arians, we all know that he's great with quarterbacks. He started off with Andrew Luck, helping him win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He went on and coached Carson Palmer and took him to the NFC Championship.
Right.
He worked for Big Ben. He did pretty well there. And now he is with Tom Brady. So I feel like that helps him out a little bit. Bill Belichick, really, he has nothing. His defense completely tore apart. Kyle Van Noy left in free agency. Uh,
Right.
Dante Hightower, which was a key part to that defense, opted out, and so did Patrick Chung. And he has a bunch of no-name receivers. Let's be honest. The one receiver that a lot of people know is washed up, and that is Julian Edelman. He's been having a lot of drops. He now is in IR with a knee injury.
Yeah, he got his knee scoped a couple weeks ago. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it's tough, man. Once you get into that situation where injuries are prone for everybody, it's really tough to get out of it. I can remember back in my playing days in 2005. I think we had like 17 guys drop to IR, and back then you would go on IR, you couldn't come back. So yeah, man, it goes to the point where you know it's just the summer. The way this year was treated, I think that's dealing a lot with injuries and plus it's one of those things where we knew this was going to happen, Santiago. I think at the end of the day, if Tom Brady for somehow stayed in the Patriots organization, well, we knew they always had a chance to win the division, right? But now that they're gone, I mean, obviously everybody's looking at them really, really hardcore in regards to what they're doing on the field, right? But oh yeah, you mentioned something that I caught my attention. That Tampa defense. Everybody's talking about Tom Brady and the grunt connection and Mike Evans, and now that they have other weapons like Antonio Brown, who's probably going to play this Sunday. Let's talk about that defense, man. Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator, he's running that fire zone blitz. He's actually just lining everybody up, confusing the offensive linemen, and going off of that. We saw it again against the Green Bay Packers. They did a great job kind of confusing the protection there for that veteran O-line. And obviously they were all over Aaron Rodgers. That's not easy to do, man. And I think if we look at every single defense in the NFC, I like this defense. This defense it has a lot of potential. I mean, they have Ndamukong Suh on the line, who I think is a great veteran. So sometimes he gets a little crazy, but he's there, man. He's really aggressive. The two linebackers that you mentioned, Devin White and Levante David, and also Shaquille Barrett, man. We're talking about some speed rushers that can get after the quarterback when they're called upon. And that rookie, Antoine Winfield Jr., man, he's having a great year. I think he's definitely up in the safety position for like rookie of the year because he's done great back there. And every time, you play a team, maybe like the Giants, I don't want to say they relax, but they kind of play to the level of the game. And it got complicated for a little bit with the Bucks, right? But they're coming back, and I think for sure this week they have a great commitment because if they win this week against the Saints, I think it'll be a great starting point to talk about the Buccaneers moving forward in the playoffs.
I agree. I think that, and they're playing at home, which is not the same advantage that you had last year, but you're still at home. You still don't have to travel. You still don't have to sleep in a hotel. So I guess that kind of helps out a little bit. But
Yep.
now I want to ask you about the game that my team taking on your team. Who is the biggest problem for the teams?
Biggest problem for the teams? Oh, I gotta say, you know what? We had a great bye week. We had some situations there with a couple players testing positive for COVID, but the good thing was, Santi, that the players didn't actually practice during the bye week. They were actually off, so they would come in and test daily. So that helped kind of not spread the whole thing around through the team because we've seen like the Raiders actually lose offensive linemen, the whole offensive line for the full week, and then come back and play. And it's very tough to not practice and actually play in a game. So I think to the benefit of the Cardinals, they're coming back strong this week. Jalen Tomlinson, our starting safety, is actually back. He's actually a big component to this Cardinal defense. And Jalen Thompson has done great, man. When he was in there, he really dictated the protections, the schemes, the coverages, and he did great. So I think that's a player to watch that can benefit us. But somebody that's struggling right now, I can honestly tell you, I would pick for Miami. I would pick Tua because we haven't seen him throw 250, 300 yards in a game. I want to see that. So, and he will eventually do it, right? Because there's a lot of people saying, "Hey, why'd you leave Fitzmagic out? Bring him back, whatever." I mean, I get it. It was Tua's time, and Coach Brian Flores knew this was happening. I don't think they informed Fitzmagic that this was going to go on mid-season, right? Whenever you have, when you're doing decent, right? Because the Dolphins are still in the hunt for their division, to be honest with you. So I would say Tua on your side. I would say on my side, I would have to go with, hey, somebody that. Well, the question was somebody that you can play without, or
the question was what is one player that the Dolphins really have to look out for in the Cardinals?
okay, okay. So we have to look out for Tua because remember when Cam Newton came in as a rookie, he threw 400 yards, he had 4 touchdowns, and he just blew it up against our starting defense, right? So anytime there's a rookie coming in who has that status like Tua, we have to look out for them. And you guys, the Miami Dolphins, have to look out on our side for DeAndre Hopkins, man. He is being a beast out there. He's really every time that we need him, like we need to come back into the game, like we're down, two possessions. They just give him the ball. They start throwing the ball to his side, and he's unstoppable, man. So that's one of the guys that I think Miami has to pay lots of attention to.
I think I agree with obviously D-Hop is a top receiver in the NFL. He is getting guarded, though. This is a player that you guys have to look out for.
Okay.
Xavier Howard, who is also tied for the most interceptions in the league with 4. Look, Xavier Howard got beat a lot against the Rams. On those crossing routes, he was beat a lot.
Yeah.
But that does not take away the fact that Xavier Howard is still a top cornerback in the NFL.
Right.
And then you have Christian Kirk on the other side, who is probably going to get covered by Byron Jones. A guy that you guys, he can sneakily have a good game is Andy Isabella. Andy Isabella has the speed. Okay. I think that a lot of people aren't going to be paying attention to him. I think that all the attention is going to go to D-Hop and Christian Kirk. I think that Andy Isabella can have a great game, but I think a player that you guys have to look out for. That we have to look out for is Budda Baker.
Right.
Budda Baker was the highest paid safety in the NFL. He was still looking for his first interception. Played Dallas, got his first interception. Next game, he got back-to-back interceptions.
Yep.
And he's on fire. I think
he can do it all. Santi, he can do it all. He can cover. He can tackle. He's ferocious, man. He's explosive. He's one of the guys that when we need to play a big play on defense, a turnover, he's got it. Like he has that potential. And if you would see him on off the field, you wouldn't think Budda Baker was a football player. But once he gets out in that helmet and those shoulder pads, man, he is explosive. He's exciting to watch. You're right. Going to your point on Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, that duo, I like it, man. I had forgotten about those cats. They're really playing lights out. And I think Brian Flores, what he did versus the Rams, which remember Brian Flores was with the Patriots as a defensive coordinator when he was facing the Rams in the Super Bowl and he shut down completely Jared Goff. I mean, there's a lot of good coaching in Miami. I know that. So eventually things will click. I just don't want it to be this week.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, I think that the Arizona Cardinals, I think that, the Seahawks at the beginning of the season, they were on fire.
Okay.
But they weren't playing very good defenses.
Right.
The Cardinals, they came out and beat the Niners. So I think that the Cardinals are still fighting for that division. They can kind of
beat the Niners when the Niners were healthy. Remember that. So it wasn't like the hospital they have right now, because right now all those guys are. I mean, I don't feel sorry for them because they're in our division, but they have a lot of things they have to work through.
They do, and then they have the best tight end with a broken foot. That one hurt a lot.
Yep.
I mean, I love him. Even though I'm not a big, Niners fan, I actually don't like them at all. George Kittle is one of my favorite players. His personality is just out there. But
okay, so I want to ask you this. Give me a defensive player that we need to look out for. Just a defensive Dolphin player that, hey, we got to pay attention to besides the cornerbacks you mentioned.
Emmanuel Ogba.
Okay.
He has 6 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and is pressuring the quarterback almost any anytime um he he's on the quarterback almost all game long.
Right.
I love Emmanuel Ogba. I think he has a sack almost every game this season. So I love him. I think that you guys really do have to look out for because I'm calling it 2 sacks. 2 sacks.
Oof. Oof. That'll be huge for the Miami defense on the road. But we'll see. Well, I think our tackles are ready for him. We have our starting tackles in this game, and Kevin Beacham and DJ Humphrey. So I think we'll be solid there. And they're coming off the bye weeks. So remember all the little nicks and knacks and little bruises they had. All those healed up pretty good, and I think the team is ready for the second half of the season. So it'll be fun. To be honest with you, we need this win more than the Dolphins, because if we get through the Dolphins, through the defense they are carrying right now, and through what they did versus the Rams, because thank you for that helped us out in our division. Yeah. I think most definitely this will be one of the premier matchups, Tua and Kyler Murray.
I do. I wasn't happy with how he performed, but it was his first game. He had to get the nerves off. But let's move on to fantasy football. Rolando, give me a must, someone that you must start on your fantasy lineup.
Out of the whole NFL, or just
out of the whole NFL?
The whole NFL. Well, here you go. Let me look up my fantasy league. Let me tell you my record first of all, because I'm doing pretty good in one, and the other one I'm not. This is the one I'm not. I'm 1-7. I don't know why, but in the other one I'm 4-4. I kind of I'm in there. That's a league that I have with a bunch of talent in TV talent, that friends of ours and stuff. I think for sure this week, oof, I don't know, man. I think Adam Thielen is projected pretty high. He's going versus Detroit this week, right?
Wow, yeah.
And he's one of those guys where I know that Miami won last week versus the Packers, right? And they won in a way that they ran a lot the ball, that they established the run first. So I think this game, because I know that Matthew Stafford on the side of the Detroit Lions is out for COVID issues. I think this is a game where the air attack, whatever happens, you have to have Kirk Cousins throw the ball to Adam Thielen and just kind of go with a solid veteran. I think he's definitely staying in my lineup. What about you?
For me, a must, you have Allen Robinson. I know he's been a little bit inconsistent, 3 touchdowns this year. But listen, they're going against the 31st pass defense. Oof. That defense is led by Blake Martinez, a top linebacker in this league. So I don't think they'll be trying to run the ball a lot, especially, the run game hasn't been working a lot. So I think that Nick Foles should be looking for Allen Robinson a lot because, listen, Allen Robinson, I know, he's not having a great year, but Allen Robinson can still make a play at any time. So I think that you have to start Allen Robinson.
You think Nick Foles is ready for that challenge? You think Nick Foles was a correct decision in Chicago? Be honest.
I don't know, because you know what? I'm just gonna go with no. I know they were getting blown out by the Cardinals, but Mitch Trubisky was playing solid the first 2 games. Listen, if you are winning, I don't see a reason to bench him. Now, I know they were losing to the Falcons, but he won the first 2 games.
Okay.
Nick Foles has been, I don't want to say bad, but he's been all right. I think that, Matt Nagy calling the offensive plays isn't helping out a lot.
Okay.
But
I'm with you all the way. I feel the same way, what you just responded right now. So, yeah, I think eventually he'll get better. He just got to – it's one of those things where he's just got to make the throws at the end of the day. I mean, whatever is called, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he can't worry about how late the play comes into his helmet, how late he runs the offense. He just has to worry about, you know what, let me get the ball to the receivers and let's start moving the chains, because eventually I think Chicago can do something, but I don't know. I don't know about this week.
Yeah, I mean, if he's doing bad and he's not getting something going after the second quarter, I'm putting Mitch in.
Okay.
So right now, give me a bust that you just someone that you can't start on your league.
Ooh, somebody that I can't start on my league. I would say, let me move to my other league, the one I'm not doing so good. Um, I don't know, man. I think Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan going to Denver. I don't know, something about cold weather, something about playing outdoors, something about having that effect because, Drew Lock is playing a little better to a certain point. I think Denver handles their home stadium with or without fans like champs. I think it's definitely a tough place to play, and I think Matt Ryan coming off last week, I don't think he's going to be able to follow it up.
Yeah, I agree because Denver has a pretty good defense and Justin Simmons. Um,
Yep.
I think he's a great safety, but I'm gonna give you Ezekiel Elliott, a guy that I was super high on this year. He has 6 total touchdowns this year. He's playing against the best defense in the NFL. That's not a question. The Steelers are the best defense in the NFL,
You're right.
and the fact that he's having a down year doesn't help. Maybe he was having, one of his years where he led the league in rushing yards. Maybe, but I just don't see Elliott making big plays, especially Tony Pollard was making plays against the Eagles whenever he had the chance. He made
Yeah.
plays. I think that Tony Pollard is going to get more playing time, especially with Elliott having a bad year.
Yeah,
But
you could see Pollard kind of like putting that little burst in his speed, right? Like, because he was taking quick decisions, he was attacking the hole, and he was doing it like north and south the way you should be doing. Kind of Ezekiel Elliott was kind of waiting for a hole. Nothing really panned out. His offensive line was, I mean, he's playing. Zach Martin was back, and he didn't really follow the lead of Zach Martin because in some occasions he missed completely his read. I mean, he could have stayed front side and not cut it back so much, and I think he would have gotten a little bit more rhythm. That's the only chance I see the Cowboys really having, to be honest with you, because Ben DiNucci, I don't know what he's trying to do, Santi. He was trying to mimic Patrick Mahomes, under the hand throws and just kind of holding on to the ball so long because that's going to happen. He's a rookie. All rookies do it eventually. But, yeah, tough times in Dallas, man, for sure.
I know that team is so banged up. I was so upset about Dak because I had him in one of my leagues, but I also think that he does deserve the contract. I mean, he proved it right now.
Yeah.
Dak was carrying them hard.
Yeah, the Cowboys, I'm with you on that one. The Cowboys, if they don't have Dak in their roster next year, it's going to be shocking for me because they know they're down to their third quarterback, right? And it's like, okay, so what happens next for us if they don't lock them into a good amount of years, like to a long format contract? I think it'll definitely, maybe he comes back and he says, you know what, I want to move on. Maybe I want to explore the market. Maybe I want to do something else, right? But you never know. I think they'll take care of him eventually.
Speaking about ankle injuries, you as a former offensive lineman, I was really, really upset about the Ronnie Stanley injury.
Oh
They
man,
cleared the bag right before the injury, but man, that was
Rodney Santi is one of my favorite players to watch. I think he's got in this new modern era, he still has like the best, one of the best techniques I've seen as an offensive tackle. The guy has determination when he runs the ball. He's got great feet, sweet punch. I mean, this guy is a strong dude, man. And to see him get rewarded on last Friday, 100 million plus, and just that's a big contract for any offense. I mean, for any player, right? And to see an offensive lineman get it is like, okay, they're giving us the credit we deserve, right? But then he goes into a game, he's balling out. I mean, he's blocking the left side, and all of a sudden, a defensive player from the Pittsburgh Steelers rolls into his ankle on the backside. He's not even looking, and he just kind of just snaps there. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I'm happy he got that guaranteed money, and I'm happy he is a long-term solution for that offensive lineman, that offensive line for Baltimore, because eventually he's going to come back, man. He's one of those guys where you don't need to worry about him. He's going to rehab it. He's going to do everything right. He's going to get stronger. He's going to come back more prepared, and he's going to be your tackle for the next decade. I mean, this guy has it all.
I know he's a great offensive lineman. But now let's go into the primetime games. Let's talk about the Packers and Niners games. Who are you taking?
That's going to be awesome, man. I'm going to be broadcasting that game with Fox Deportes. I have to go with Packers, to be honest with you. I think the way Aaron Rodgers lost last week, he's not happy. He usually bounces up really good, and the way he has weapons, but they're not all there in regards to like being healthy. And then on the other side, man, it's tough to pick a team that has their starting quarterback and their starting star, which is George Kittle. Because even if they hadn't Jimmy G, I'm not a big Jimmy G fan. I think George Kittle is a big difference, regardless who's throwing them the ball. I think if that guy gets going, it's going to be really tough for any other team to kind of cover him because he's so dynamic, man. He's so explosive. But this time around, I'm going Packers all the way. I do like the offensive line that the 49ers have, that veteran offensive lineman, Trent Williams, Tomlinson, Garland, McClinchy. Those guys are fun to watch, man, because they're maulers. They move the line of scrimmage. But who knows? They're down to also, I think they're fourth running back. So it's going to be really tough. I'm taking the Packers. What about you?
I am taking the Packers as well. I think that if Jimmy G was healthy, even though I do think he's a little bit overrated, if Jimmy G was healthy, maybe it would have been a little bit closer, but I am taking the Packers. You know,
Cool.
we saw him have a bad game against the Bucks. He came
Right.
back. He came back against the Texans, and we all know how that went. Um, you know, Aaron Rodgers is gonna have a great game. Like you said, no George Kittle. He helps a ton in the running game and in the passing game. Also, Debo Samuel. I think that he was gonna break out. I'm really sad that he got re-injured because I like him a lot. I think that he's a great receiver, and Jimmy G dealing with the high ankle sprain. I doubt that he's gonna come back this season. Because he already had it hurt,
You're right.
and then he hurt it again. I just really do doubt that he comes back, but I do have the Packers taking that.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, that quarterback situation, Nick Mullins and CJ Bernhardt, I mean, you know, one of those things. I think CJ Bernhardt was a guy who replaced Jimmy G when he got his leg torn apart 2 years ago, and I mean, he did decent, but they're no both of them are not really good players to kind of move the chains forward. So it is what it is. I'm with you, man. Packers all the way.
Okay, now this one's gonna be a really fun game to watch and a really tight game to watch.
Okay.
Bucks and Saints.
Bucks and Saints, man. It's revenge, right? For Tom Brady. Tom Brady's gonna really just let it shine, man. I think they're ready for it. We knew it was gonna take. We knew it was gonna take at least 3 weeks, maybe four, to kind of see Tom Brady's arm, his rhythm, his veteran, his leadership skills, kind of all mingle in and kind of move the change forward and move this offensive forward. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. I love that, Gronk. You gotta give him credit. Gronk was retired. Gronk was doing TV, and he signed with the Bucks, like kind of like, hey, let's go, everybody, let's go. He didn't have the summer to plan. He didn't have the summer to work out. He didn't have the summer to kind of do the mental part of it because I think physically he was kind of there. He just had to go back into his routine. But now that you see this offense move forward with Gronk, I like Mike Evans, man. I think he's one of the most dynamic receivers there is in the NFL. I hope they throw him the ball more often because he's really fun to watch. And that Buccaneers defense is really, really shining. I think that's going to be the backbone of this team, regardless of what happens on the offensive side. I think they're going to be ready for the challenge in November, December. But going on the Saints side, I think there's too many problems, man. Injuries, Michael Thomas. Everybody's like, "Oh, when's Michael Thomas coming back? Is he coming back this week?" But you know what? Nothing really works. Alvin Kamara has been the guy on the receiving side. He's been the air attack. He's been the guy to produce more yards, regardless. So I think he's been forced into that role because remember, it was really explosive to see Alvin Kamara like on third downs and just kind of do a little dunk pass or the screen game. He was great at it. Now I see him like kind of like, okay, I got to do this. I got to do that. And then also whenever it's Tyson Hill time, it's kind of like, okay, we're putting him in because Breeze is kind of on his way out. We don't know. On this game, I'm definitely taking the Buccaneers. What about you?
I am taking the Buccaneers as well. I think that it will be really, really close. Even though I feel like the Saints, I don't know if they're a good 5-2 football team. Just because, look, Drew Brees isn't having a great year. We all know that. At least from what I've watched, I think that Sean Payton has made some questionable calls on third down. Um,
Okay.
I think the other day I was watching and it was third and 11. He put Taysom Hill in and he just ran a quarterback power. So some plays that he has ran on third down have been a little bit questionable. Alvin Kamara, he's a great running back. I'm gonna ask you a question right now. Is Alvin Kamara the best running back in the NFL?
I would say yes. I would say yes right now. I think his air skills have gotten way better. Um, I think he's even better right now than McCaffrey because he just has a lot of repetition. And I think that's going to kind of created his game this year. But it's tough, man. Once they lean that much on Alvin Kamara, you forget about your other weapons because their other weapons are not there. I mean, it's not happening for them. It's not clicking, right? So eventually you're going to wear out and the defenses are going to start scouting you a little bit closer. They're going to start mirroring your efforts out there and they're going to hit you, man. Once they start hitting you, it's like, okay, I think that's when he slows down. But I think for sure he's one of the tops.
I like him a lot. I think he's a really fun player to watch. But going back, I think that the Bucks being home, I think that I have the Bucks taking this game. I feel like some things for the Saints aren't clicking. As well as they clicked last year. So I have the Bucks. I think that's gonna be really, really tight, but I do have the Bucks taking this game. And for the last game, I think that we don't really have to, make an argument. That is Jets versus the Pats.
You know what? My pick was the Jets. They have to win at some point, dude. And why not catch the guy who ruined your whole dreams the past decade, right? So at one point, something's gonna have to click on Adam Gase and Sam Darnold and all them guys. But I mean, the Patriots are going through a tough time. They just have to figure it out, and they will eventually. It's just a matter of when. But yeah, this is one of the games where it used to be kind of like a big deal because these two teams hate each other. It's like a strong rivalry. But now that you put it this way, I think it's going to be one of those games like, okay, just pick one. I'm going to pick Jets. How about you?
I'm gonna go take the Pats here. Um, Cam Newton is having a tough time a little bit, but he did well against that, very strong Bills defense. I think that, they're gonna have to run a lot of RPOs, and I think that Cam is gonna have to run a lot.
But you don't think something like Cam, like the way his facial reaction on the sideline whenever the camera hits him, he's like mad and he's like being like a little kid. You don't think he's done with the season?
Yes, but at the same time, I think that, Cam Newton, he won an MVP, and I think that, he has to be the leader of that locker room because he is the quarterback, and I think that, Bill Belichick is still coaching, and Bill Belichick does not have the most patience, and he knows that he has to have a good attitude, and he knows that he has to play well because Bill Belichick is not afraid to put him on the bench. We all know
Right.
that. So I think that he has to put it together at some point. So I think I'm gonna take the Pats, and hopefully Sam Darnold isn't seeing ghosts this time against the Pats.
Yeah, poor dude. He's had a rough start to his career. He's stuck in a team where he ain't going anywhere, man. It's unfortunate to see some teams in the NFL that kind of don't figure it out quickly, and they're just there. I mean, it's talent, it's scouting, it's a combination of coaching, it's a combination of execution of the players, of the personnel, of all those things. So you're right, man. So hey, this week, I'm not gonna wish you good luck because we plan to welcome Tua to the desert. But the rest of the weeks, I'm rooting for your Dolphins, man. It's a team. It's a fun team to watch.
I love the Cardinals, especially Kyler Murray, the most fun player to watch in the NFL for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, thank you